Let's go, baby. Listen, it's currently well past 1 a.m. And as you can see, I'm still hype because I just finished a 4-hour round trip from Fort Myers to Miami to watch the Heat take on the Dallas Mavericks. And let me tell you, it was well worth the drive, baby.
Let's go, Heat! Let's go, Heat!
Now, I actually only went to the game because I won tickets on a Twitter contest from a company called MPH, who is partnered with the Miami Heat. They're like a luxury car dealership. Now, this video isn't sponsored by them, but maybe it can be one day. If y'all like and comment and subscribe, maybe if this video does well, I can send them the link and maybe they send me some free tickets so I can vlog and get some other cool content for y'all. But I can't do that without a support, so y'all know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. I do greatly appreciate it. But that being said, this game was awesome. Listen, the Heat were playing very well in most of the first half, even in the third quarter. But in that fourth quarter, the Mavericks started cooking. Kyrie Irving was doing Kyrie things, and I'm thinking, oh no, here we go again. I'm saying, how are we going to lose to Najee Marshall, the guy that got into a scuffle with Jimmy Butler last year? I'm saying, how are we going to lose to Klay Thompson? Because I was calling him washed all game, so I was terrified he's about to game us, but luckily, Spencer Dinwiddie's bum ass was there to say, here you go, Miami Heat, take this overtime win. But it was truly a thrilling game. So we'll kind of get into everything from the jump, of course, from what I remember, because I didn't really take any notes because I was there. But shout out to MPH. The seats were awesome. So I had a great view of all the time the Mavericks fouled us and it wasn't called. But I guess I can't really say that because that boy Jimmy Butler got to the line a ton. But we'll get into that later. Of course, I did think that I was like, finally, I'm going to a game, and it's the first one in which the Heat are fully healthy. Outside of Drew Smith, of course, I believe he had some knee discomfort, which is unfortunate because he did play so well in the last game. But outside of that, we were supposed to have everyone until a couple hours before game time, in which we learned that Terry Rozier was still out with his foot discomfort. I was low-key thinking it might be a positive, like an addition by subtraction thing, because he hasn't been playing that well. But maybe that is due to the foot discomfort he's been having. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And hopefully he only comes back when he's ready. And hopefully he comes back off the bench because I don't think that starting lineup with Tyler will work anymore. But anyways, the Heat wasn't the only team dealing with some injuries because, of course, Luka Doncic did not play tonight. I was a little disappointed in that because I haven't seen him in person yet. It would have been cool to see. I only went to one Mavericks game before, and it was the year before he was drafted. So I got to see my boy Dirk Nowitzki. That was cool, but maybe I'll go next year to see Luka Doncic. But anyways, the Heat were playing really, really well early on. I guess the guy that we were all worried about the most was Kyrie Irving. I'm seeing the starting lineup, which I do like, but it has the backcourt of Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. And I'm thinking, oh no, Kyrie might pick those two guys apart, but it was Haywood Highsmith who got really the main defensive assignment guarding Kyrie Irving. And he was awesome. Even had a nice block when Kyrie tried to take him inside. Now, he got called for a couple cheap fouls, and I thought that's why we didn't see him later in the game because of the foul trouble a little bit. But turns out Haywood Highsmith actually didn't play in the second half too much because he was sick. So hopefully everything is good with him because he was playing very, very well early on into the game. And I felt like, speaking of like the ticky-tack fouls, there was a lot of those. Dallas got a lot of and ones today because the guys like PJ Washington and Kyrie Irving were lowering their shoulder into our defenders, putting a shot up, and then they were calling the foul on Miami. Because I kept saying, if you go and foul the guy, foul them hard. But then when I'm watching the replay, I'm thinking, that should be an offensive foul, at least if it's Jimmy Butler. Because anytime Jimmy Butler lowers the shoulder onto someone, they always seem to call that an offensive foul. But when it's against Miami, it's a foul on the Heat. I can't make sense of it. But anyways, enough about the officiating in a game in which the Heat got like 100 free throws and made 5 of them, by the way. They couldn't make a free throw to save their life. But that's enough of my free throw rant. This was too good a game to talk about the officiating. But anyways, I love what I saw defensively in the first half because they played a lot of zone as well. That zone was phenomenal. Alec Burks, Pelle Larsson, two guys that really stood out in this game. I mean, especially Alec Burks. Thank God for him. Where would the Heat have been tonight without his sensational shooting? They'd be with another L in the lost column. That's where they would be. But he was awesome, and I love what those guys provided in zone. And then another thing that I like defensively on Kyrie is when Haywood was not guarding him, it was Jimmy Butler. And we oftentimes don't see Jimmy Butler get the primary defensive assignments, at least outside of the last 2 minutes of a game. We usually see him kind of guarding on someone else so he can so he can save his energy for the offensive side, or he can play in passing lanes and that sort of thing. But he did play on Kyrie Irving a lot today, and I like to see that. It did make me very, very happy to see. But anyways, the Heat closed the first half up by 5. I'm thinking, okay, we're playing well. Please don't have a third quarter. And they really didn't. They played even in the third quarter, 33 all. I think the Heat did get up as much as 10 in the third quarter, but they weren't quite able to close it out. There was one play where they could have had the last shot. Kevin Love did his outlet pass, and Pelle Larsson couldn't catch it because he wasn't expecting it. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Hold for the last shot. But I can't really get too mad at Kevin Love because he did have another beautiful outlet to Jimmy Butler earlier in the game. And I think even Jimmy said as much that he loves playing with Kevin Love. That's one of his favorite players to play with. I know they were speculating as much on the 5 Reasons podcast, which I was listening on the drive back to Fort Myers. And you can really tell those guys have such a great chemistry that it's fun to watch. And Kevin Love today, although he didn't shoot great, he did hit 3 threes today, so he was stretching the floor, and the rebounding was awesome as well. I think he had like 11 boards, but we'll get into the stats a little bit later. But the Heat were up 5 going into the fourth quarter, which was back and forth the entire time. And then that's when Kyrie Irving started to do Kyrie Irving things, hit like a transition 3. And then I don't remember if this was the shot to take the lead or not for the Mavericks, but there was one play, Kyrie, late in the fourth quarter, mind you, Kyrie caught the ball in the corner. Jaime Jaquez is all in his face guarding him. And without even taking a dribble, Kyrie Irving fades away in the corner with a hand in his face and cashes the 3. And that's when I'm saying, oh God, this is where we're in trouble now. If Kyrie is hitting shots like that, we're in trouble. But luckily, there was Jimmy Butler to hit some wild shots of his own. This one was with like a minute left where he drove into the paint. Derek Lively, it might have been a foul. It might have been not. It's on the borderline of the whole dumbass verticality rule that started with Roy Hibbert's trash ass back in the day. But anyways, Jimmy Butler takes the contact, turns backwards, does his best Michael Jordan impression, like father, like son, I guess, throws the ball backwards behind his head and gets it to go. Quite literally shot the ball without even looking at the rim. And when I'm watching that in person, I swear I had no reaction because I couldn't believe what I just saw. And because of course it was a timeout after that. So I must have watched that replay for about 90 seconds. And then I just bust out laughing. I was looking at my boy and we were just dying laughing because I couldn't believe out of all the shots you could take at that point of the game, that's the shot that they got and it went in. I was flabbergasted, for lack of a better word. It was just unreal. So I do believe that was to tie the game. And then coming into the next possession, the defensive possession, the Heat went zone. And I didn't really like that because they were doing such a good job in man with Jimmy Butler guarding Kyrie Irving. But then as soon as they went to zone, Kyrie was able to pick that apart and get right to the mid-range and hit his midi to take the lead right back. And then that's where the Heat would get a chance with the final possession to take the lead of their own. And you had a beautiful backdoor cut. Duncan Robinson found Jimmy Butler, who dunked it in with about 3 seconds left. And then luckily, the ball ended up in Spencer Dinwiddie's hands to try to end it in regulation for the Mavericks. And boy, did that shot look good. Because as bad as Spencer Dinwiddie was tonight, he was 0 for 9 from 3. He hasn't really been good in 3 years himself. That shot rimmed in and out. And if he would have hit that, oh my God, I don't know what I would have did. But that was enough to send but of course he did miss, so Jimmy's dunk was sent it to overtime. And then in that overtime, the Heat hit some pretty monster shots. Bam Adebayo hit a huge 3 in the corner. The place absolutely erupted. And then you had Bam take another corner 3 like 2 possessions later. And he pulled the playoff P, hit the side of the backboard. But if he would have hit that, my God, that place would have went insane. But the Heat were able to come away with the win. What else do we have here? I have that Bam Adebayo. He did have a defensive play on Kyrie late in that overtime too. So I do got a lot of respect for Bam, although he struggled today offensively, was under 50% from the field. He had like a bunny that he missed where it was late in the fourth quarter as well. He had Derek Lively on him who just fell down. Bam looked like he had a wide open dunk to put it in, and just the ball like slipped out of his hands. And I do feel like there was a lot of times where Derek Lively got a lot of offensive rebounds. I understand a lot of that is not on Bam. Bam needs to play some help defense, and when that happens, there's the lob is open for Gafford or for Lively or for those guys to get the offensive rebounds. So the part of that was more frustrating than Bam is just the fact that we have our own 7-foot athletic freak on the bench who Spo refuses to play, and I really feel like they could have used Khalil Ware tonight because it seemed like the Dallas Mavericks had a ton of offensive rebounds. Let me pull the stats up here real quick because Derek Lively himself had 13 boards and 3 of them were offensive rebounds, where Daniel Gafford had 3 offensive rebounds himself. So not a ton statistically, but there was some late in the game where the Heat just weren't able to get those boards. And I guess a lot of the breakdowns on the Heat's defense also led to lobs for both of those guys too. So I really think against a team that has a lot of size like the Mavericks, because there was times they were playing 2 7-footers with Lively and Kleber, I do think this would have been a great game for Khalil Ware to get some action, but nonetheless, he still doesn't get any minutes. But I'm going to trust Eric Spoelstra and the coaching staff. I'm not going to talk about who didn't play. I want to talk about some guys who did play, and that's Pelle Larsson and Alec Burks. My God, where would he be without those two guys, specifically Alec Burks? Because that boy was an absolute sniper. They finally kind of took the minutes from Josh Richardson, who most Heat fans, including myself, have been calling for over the last several weeks because we love Jay Rich. We will always love Jay Rich, but he really hasn't been it recently. I think he was like a minus 21 last game, and a game that the Heat won by 20, which is just insane. But obviously, he's still struggling with his shooting. The defense isn't what it used to be. Maybe some of that's related to the shoulder. I have no idea. I don't want to make any excuses for him. But what cannot be debated is that Pelle Larsson is a way better player than him right now. And if Alec Burks is shooting like he did tonight, he's also a much more clear option to play. But those guys were very huge early on. They made some big plays late. Pelle Larsson moved so well without the ball. He was getting back door, finishing his layup, stretching the floor. But we'll kind of get into each of these guys specifically when we go through the box score. I do remember too, though, there was a play late where the Heat got a stop on Kyrie Irving, I believe, or they forced a miss on someone. And then that's when Jimmy got a rebound and Kyrie got a steal. And Kyrie like smacked Jimmy Butler all over the arms. And that's when Kyrie dived on the ball, called timeout. That play very much so frustrated me as well. Because like I said, I think the officiating was bad. Even on the game-winning dunk or game-tying dunk that Jimmy had, he got smacked across the arms too. That should have been an and one. It should have never went to overtime anyways. But let me know y'all thoughts down below on the officiating, or if I was just being biased, I guess. I don't know. But going through this box score here, Duncan Robinson only got you 8 points tonight, was 2 of 4 from 3. But the main thing that we saw from him today, it was really reminiscent of like Duncan of 2 years ago with regards to all the fouls, because he cannot keep his hands out of the cookie jar today. Got you 5 fouls in 17 minutes. But I still like what we've seen from him as late. And the lineup of him, Tyler, and Bam seems to really work. Those three obviously have a lot of chemistry. So I do hope we keep seeing more of that, even if Terry's back next game. Probably put Terry on the bench and keep Duncan at the 2 spot doing what he has been doing. And then Hayward Highsmith today only got you 18 minutes because he was sick in the second half. 0 points, 5 rebounds, but the defense was impeccable. Had the block on Kyrie Irving early in the game, was really hounding him and not really letting him go anywhere. And when a guy is that good at defense, he has to find a spot in the rotation, a big spot in the rotation, whether that's in the starting lineup or not. I still personally think he's a little bit too small to play that starting 4. But if he is going to be starting and guarding the other team's best players, I get the logic. I really, really do. Because he was great tonight defensively, obviously, before he went out with the sickness. But Bam Adebayo today, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. That sounds all good. But he was 8 of 20 from the field, which is not good at all. Missed a lot of bunnies. Missed a lot of just general layups at the rim. There was a lot of times where he was shooting these post fadeaways. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Because he was doing it a lot with a smaller player on him where, let's say, for example, he had PJ Washington on him, who's not super small, but Bam was using his strength to sort of get to the rim. And when I felt like there was times where Bam could either do a drop step and dunk it or do a little easy jump hook, he would do a fadeaway. Why are you backing up a smaller player getting all the way to the rim just to do a fadeaway? I find that a bit frustrating, although Bam was hitting those tonight. Really, most of his misses were layups. But just go up stronger, Bam. There was a play where he got like blocked, absolutely stuffed on a block from Derek Lively. Felt like he could have went up stronger on that. The play where he lost the ball earlier, felt like he could have went up stronger on that. So I just want to see him be a little bit more aggressive. It's not so much about the shot attempts. It's about being more aggressive on those shot attempts. Because, yeah, 0 free throw attempts today for Bam. So what does that tell you? Now, I don't want to be hypocritical because I want him to be more aggressive on the inside, but I also like the three-point shooting that we saw today. So with Bam, it's going to be all about finding a good balance between the aggressiveness and the stretching the floor. Because today he did hit 3 triples on 6 attempts. Had the monster one in the overtime that we had said earlier, and a few of his threes today was in the corner. Most of the threes we see him attempt is the top of the key. So it was nice to see him get that corner 3 off, because those are the ones where you really stretch the floor and you have the best chance of catching a ball off a drive and kick. It's the one that's the shortest distance. I think he has the least time to like think about it. It's just in the flow of the offense. So I do hope he keeps getting those attempts. I'd love for him to get 6 threes a game. It's just the attempts where you're on the inside, try to dunk it. Try to do a jump hook. Less fadeaways, maybe some more aggression. But obviously his defense was pretty good tonight, as best as you can expect. Really trying to guard everyone out there on the court at the same time. Tyler Hero today was terrible shooting the ball, which is very disappointing because like it's his first bad shooting game in quite a long time. He was 8 of 25 from the field, 1 of 10 from 3. But great players can do other things when they're not shooting the ball well. So although Tyler did only shoot 32% and had 18 points, I love that he had 10 rebounds. I love that he had 5 assists. And I do love that he was trying to get to the mid-range game a little bit because his threes weren't falling. One of the things we've been saying about Tyler all season is his shot profile has changed. Instead, he's basically eliminated the mid-range shot to do layups and threes. But today, when the 3 really wasn't falling, I know he still took 10 attempts, but he was trying to get inside the paint and get to that mid-range shot, and he did hit some monster mid-ranges throughout the game, had a couple and ones early on, so his driving game was effective at points as well. But the shot selection down the stretch did frustrate me because there was one where he tried to shoot like a midi fadeaway on PJ Washington, and I'm talking like in overtime, and he got blocked. Like, Jimmy Butler is cooking. That ball should have went to Jimmy Butler at that point. And then did take a couple step back threes late, which I felt like you're not hitting today, Tyler. I always think he's going to make it when he shoots it. So I guess I understand why he would shoot it. But just at those points of the game, it needed to go to Jimmy Butler. But a little bit earlier on throughout the game, and earlier in the fourth quarter, he did hit some big shots, like I said, in the mid-range. So shout out to Tyler Hero. I'm sure he'll go off next game, so I'll smash his over. But Jimmy Butler today was really your star of the game. 33 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 11 of 17 from the field, and 16 free throw attempts. Only made 11. I wish he would have made more. But obviously the thing with Jimmy Butler is the free throw attempts, because if he's getting a lot of attempts, he's being aggressive, and that is what we want to see from Jimmy Butler. He can get to the rim at will. He's so crafty with his footwork and his pump fakes. He truly earns every free throw attempt that he gets. He's not like Joel Embiid, who's flopping and flailing all over the place to get 100 free throw attempts. Jimmy's definitely earns them. I know it's difficult to do that for 82 games throughout a season. We've already seen him miss some time this year, but I love that when he is playing, he is being aggressive, especially on nights like tonight when they needed it. If there's another night where Tyler Hero's cooking, Bam's cooking, maybe that's when he can kind of not have to get to the line 16 times to kind of conserve his body. But I do feel like he had the right amount of aggression today throughout the entire game also. It's not like he waited super late to start cooking. In the first quarter, he had like 6 free throw attempts, in which he missed the first free throw on all of them. But he was really awesome tonight, and obviously defensively, he did a huge part in guarding Kyrie Irving. And then off the bench, that's where we got Alec Burks, 15 points, 4 of 8 from 3. Had like a monster mid-range late in the game too. It's just every time Dallas hit a big shot, Alec Burks was the guy there to match it, and he's a guy that has to be in the rotation going forward. I don't know where the minutes are going to look like when Terry Rozier gets back, but Spo's going to have to find a way. He really will. Kevin Love today got you 9 points, 11 rebounds. Again, only 3 attempts from the field, but in short spurts, as far as a guy that can rebound, the Heat can really use what he does. And just another day in the shop for Kevin Love. And Pelle Larsson today, 14 points, 6 to 8 from the field, and he played the second most minutes on the team. Kind of basically, or third, I guess, behind Jimmy and Bam. So that tells you that Spo has the ultimate amount of trust in him, and he's a guy that can do everything in there. We've been saying it, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but I should mention that also defensively, when Highsmith was out, he also shared the defensive assignment of Kyrie Irving with Jimmy Butler, and I felt like he was very effective in those minutes as well, and his body is just NBA ready. It really, really is. Strong, good shooter, big fan of Pelle. Like, it sounds weird to say, but he's a guy that's got to play 25, 30 minutes a night. I understand. How can I say that about everyone? I don't know. I'm really just talking out my ass at this point because it's 1:30 in the morning, but he's awesome. He's really awesome. They were talking on the 5 Reasons show if he's going to be better than Jaime Jaquez in a couple years. I don't think so, because I think Jaime is just so much more skilled offensively, but Pelle's a better shooter at this point. He's a better defender too, so certainly is possible, but shout out to him. Speaking of Jaime Jaquez Jr. did return from his ankle injury and got you 7 points on 19 minutes. So he didn't play too much, and neither did Nikola Jovic, who has been playing pretty well of late. Only got you 5 minutes tonight. So it'll be really interesting to see what Spoelstra does with this rotation going forward, because another guy that I'd like to play 30 minutes is Keshad Johnson. They just brought him up from Sioux Falls in South Dakota, North Dakota, who the hell knows. They literally just flew him in this morning to be with the team today. So I was hoping he'd get a little bit of run, because y'all know Keshad is my boy, but it didn't quite happen today. But shout out to Keshad. He's been hooping in the G League. He just dropped like 34 points the other night. I got to get a full video out about him pretty soon. But on the Mavericks side of things, Klay Thompson washed 5 of 12 from the field, 15 points. PJ Washington, who's always been a Heat killer, he was awesome today, 21 and 10. Derek Lively did get you those 14 points and 13 rebounds. He's tall, and the Heat have someone who's tall. I just wish they would play him. I don't want to talk about that anymore, though. And then Kyrie Irving got to 27 points and 6 assists. He really started cooking late, but did miss a huge free throw late, I should mention, to keep the door open for that Jimmy Butler dunk to tie the game. And then Najee Marshall, man, 20 points. He absolutely went off the last game for the Mavericks, had like 26 points in 26 minutes. So I didn't think he could go off back-to-back, but hey, he did. And it was frustrating me because I wanted to see the Heat punk his ass, just like he tried to do to us last year in New Orleans. But anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. I've been talking for 22 minutes here. What am I doing? This is the longest post game ever. So if y'all stay to this point in the video, go ahead and comment. Keshad Johnson is the GOAT. So I know y'all real ones for staying to the end of the video. The Heat do play the Milwaukee Bucks in a couple of days. So I'll see y'all with a post game then. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. I'm going to go get some sleep. See y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.